when you were growing up. We didn't have fast food when I was growing up, I informed them. All the food was slow. Come on, seriously. Where did you eat? It was a place called At Home, I explained. Mom cooked every day, and when Dad got home from work, we sat down together at the dining room table. And if I didn't like what she put on my plate, I was allowed to sit there until I did like it. By this time, the kids were laughing so hard, I was afraid he was going to suffer serious internal damage. So I didn't tell him the part about how I had to have permission to leave the table. But here are some other things I would have told him about my childhood if I figured his system could have handled it. Some parents never owned their own house, never wore Levi's, never set foot on a golf course, never traveled out of the country, or had a credit card. In their later years, they had something called a revolving charge card. That card was good only at Sears Roebuck, or maybe it was Sears and Roebuck. Either way, there was no Roebuck anymore. Maybe he died. My parents never drove me to a soccer practice. This was mostly because we never heard of soccer. I had a bicycle that weighed probably 50 pounds and only had one speed, and that was slow. We didn't have a television in our house until I was 19. It was, of course, black and white, and the stations went off the air at midnight after playing the national anthem and a poem about God. About 6 a.m. and there was usually a local produce, news, and farm show on featuring local people. I was 21 before I tasted my first pizza. It was called pizza pie. When I bit into it, it burned the roof of my mouth, and the cheese slid off, swung down, plastered itself against my chin, and burned that too. It's still the best pizza I ever had. I never had a telephone in my room. Memories with your child, grandchildren, just don't blame me for laughing. Growing up isn't what it used to be, is it? Memories from a friend. My dad is cleaning out my grandmother's house. She died in December. And she brought me an old Royal Crown Cola bottle. In the bottle top was a stopper with a bunch of holes in it. I knew immediately what it was, but my daughter had no idea. She thought they tried to make it a salt shaker or something. I knew it was as a bottle that sat on the end of the ironing board to sprinkle clothes because we didn't have silicone. Man, am I old. How many do you remember? Headlights, dimmer switches on the floor, ignition switches on the dashboard, heaters mounted on the inside of the firewall, real ice boxes, pan-slave clips for bicycles without chain guards, soldering arms through heat on the gas burner, using hand signals for our cars without turn signals. Count all the ones that you remember, not the ones you were told about. Rating from the bottom, blackjack chewing gum, wax coat-shaped bottles with colored sugar water, candy cigarettes, soda pop machines that dispense glass bottles, coffee shops or diners with a table-side jukebox, home milk delivered in glass bottles with cardboard stoppers, party lines on the telephone, newsreels before the movies, PM started again in the morning, there were only 3 channels if you were fortunate. Pea shooters, Howdy Doody, 45 RPM records, S&H Green Sand, Metal Ice Crazy with lever, mimeograph paper, blue flash buds, packers, roller skate keys, cork pop guns, drive-ins, Studebakers, wash tubs with ringers. Now, if you remember 0 to 5, you're still young. If you remember 6 to 10, you're getting older. If you remember 11 to 15, don't tell your age. If you remember 16 to 25, you're older than dirt. I might be older than dirt, but those memories are some of the best parts.